unconstructed, unsuccessful, demolished, and forgotten buildings, structures, and architecture. First we have A.L. Cheney Mansion. This is the Cheney Mansion, a Gilded Age building that is demolished. This building doesn't exist anymore. Now, I'm not sure if this is the front or the left or right side of the building. I think the gate is over here somewhere. But it could be in here. If I designed this, I would have put the door or the gate somewhere here. I would have chosen this side to be the front side. Anyway, this mansion is long gone. In second place we have the Beacon Towers. This is a castle. A large Gilded Age castle. This was destroyed in the 1940s, I believe. This is one of the biggest Gilded Age buildings. This thing was humongous. It was built in 1918 and demolished in the 1940s. It's gone too. This is Belcourt Castle. This thing actually survived, and it still exists today. This building, this mansion still exists today. It survived. Very impressive. This building was extremely lucky. This is the Daniel Murphy Mansion. Also demolished. It doesn't exist anymore. This is one of my favorites. This is called Harbor Hill. It was built in the late 1800s or early 1900s, and it was demolished in 1949, although some articles I read said that this building was demolished in 1971 or 1972. That's kind of weird. I really like this one. This one reminds me of Mosley Hall. This was gigantic. It had an enormous backyard or front yard. As big as a football stadium. Maybe larger. This house belonged to Clarence H. Mackay. This is one of my favorites. but it's demolished as well. Look at that. This is the old governor's mansion in Topeka, Kansas. Built in the 1800s, demolished in the 1920s, I believe. This building is also long gone. This is one of my favorites. This is the Stimson House. Built in the 1800s and still exists today. This house was in several movies and films, like Casper Meets Wendy, and my favorite, House 2, The Second Story, from 1987. This one still exists today. It survived. There was a fire. It survived that. It's over 100 years old. This is one of the luckiest mansions. One of the luckiest buildings. It still exists and it still is in perfect condition. It looks the same as the day it was built. This is the Beacon Hill House. A very lavish and exotic building, especially on the inside. It doesn't exist anymore. I think there was a fire inside, it was pillaged and plundered, and later demolished. There's nothing of it left. It's long gone. This is actually a hotel. This is called the Cliff House, a 9-story tower building. A hotel located on a cliff near the ocean. Straight out of a movie. This thing suffered major fires and disasters, and it was eventually demolished and rebuilt. The previous Cliff House doesn't exist anymore. It's long gone. These pictures are all that's left of it. Another Gilded Age mansion. This is the Elkins Mansion. Built in the 1800s or early 1900s and demolished in the 1920s, 30s or 40s. This building, to me, it reminds me of a labyrinth house or a maze house or a wall house. It's like there's a labyrinth inside or a maze inside. This mansion was very famous at the time. This is the Villa Mille Forey from Cooper's Neck Lane, Gary. This is A.B. Borgman's residence, Southampton, LA. This is the Borman's mansion. A monumental building with a giant garden and front yard. These are the pillar gates. This thing is long gone. I believe the garden is all that's left of this. Or the front gates. The garden is the only thing left. Everything else is demolished and dust. This is another Gilded Age building, but this is not a mansion or a house. This is a cottage mansion. This is the Westchester Place. From what I've read, this thing still exists, I believe. It survived. Look at that roof, it's gigantic. I like buildings with giant roofs. And I like the door is in use, the front gate is on the inside. I like when the door or the gate is drilled in the back. I usually don't like cottages, but I kinda like this one. You can actually film a movie inside this house. Some sort of adventure or horror film. This thing still exists, I believe, because the words "demolished" wasn't written in the description. And that's it.